Hello, I'm Michelle and welcome to Somewhere in Bookland. So today is going to be my June/July book haul. See, what had happened was I only got like 5 books in June. So I was like, you know what? I'll just wait and I'll do my June and July haul all together, because I'm sure I'm not going to get that much more in July. But then I did. I got a lot more in July. I have 27 books to haul right now, and that's a lot. So I'm kind of just going to get into it and hope this doesn't take forever. We'll see. So the first book I bought in the month of June was Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and I pre-ordered this book, so it was a signed copy because all of the first editions came signed. So I pre-ordered it from Amazon and it was signed. This book follows this girl Charlie who comes from a big family, and everybody's gathering together at her parents' house one last time before they end up selling the house. Now they're all gathering together for one of her sister's weddings, and it's one of those weddings where if anything can go wrong, it will. Everything goes wrong and it just becomes really chaotic, and she learns secrets about her family that she never knew. So I pre-ordered it, thought I would pick it up right away, still have yet to pick it up. So this next book isn't a traditional book, it is a dictionary, and it is something my girlfriend's mom picked up at a yard sale for like $5, and she gave it to me because she thought I would appreciate it, and it's really cool. Like, obviously I'm never gonna read this thing from beginning to end, but it's really cool. It's a Webster's Unabridged Encyclopedic Dictionary from the 50s, I believe, and it is huge. So this is it. It's huge. It's like, I guess all the different parts were got in at different times, all the chunks, and then put in. It's like a binder type thing, and it has pictures because it's an encyclopedia and a dictionary, and then it has like little learning things and pictures, and it's kind of cool. It was fun looking up different definitions in here to words that I know the meaning has changed over time. So it was just interesting looking up different definitions in here. And it's really cool. It sits on top of my shelves because this would take up like a lot of room on the bookshelf. This next book is a book my mom picked up for me. She was driving by my aunt's, and my aunt happened to be having a yard sale. And this book belonged to my grandma, and my mom picked it up because you know I like Dean Koontz, and it is Fear Nothing by Dean Koontz. This book is about this guy Christopher who's basically allergic to the light. So he does all his stuff at night. It's nights when he feels really safe. But one night he witnesses a whole bunch of disturbing things that lead him into this mystery that makes him confront where he lives, Moonlit Bay, and the many different strange things that happen there between just it and the residents that live there. It is one of his thinner books, so I'm hoping to get to it sometime soon. The next book I got is a chunker, and it has a story behind it. So this is an anthology, and it's called Cocktails, The Cocky Collective, Authors Who Take Cockiness to a Whole New Level. And then the rooster is composed of the word cocky over and over and over. Now, I'm not sure if you saw what was going around on Twitter a couple months ago where a romance author was trying to trademark the word cocky and not let other romance authors or other authors in general use it without having to pay like a fine. And she was trying to tell other authors that they had to take it down. So had to take down their books that had that word cocky in the title. So this book was created. It is a whole bunch of never before published short stories by a whole bunch of different romance authors. I don't really know any of the romance authors in this one, and a lot of them are very, very rough stories, like not edited or anything, but the proceeds went to go help fight against trademarking the word, and also helped the authors that had already been impacted by it. So I really wanted to help with that, and now I have this book. Now this book is supposedly only going to be available until August 26th. So if you would like to buy this book, you better do so soon, because they're supposed to be no longer available after that. And the last book I bought in the month of June was Grace and the Fever by Zane Romanoff. This book follows this girl Grace who is obsessed with this band Fever Dream, and through a series of lucky circumstances, she ends up befriending the band and kind of gets pulled into the world and the secrets that they have. She is like a super fangirl of them, so to her it's like her dream come true, but also she starts to see them in a different light. I've already read this book. It was okay. This is kind of supposed to be like a One Direction type of based book, which I think really comes across. Now all the rest of these books are books I got in the month of July. I did a couple of things in July, including placing a book outlet order, which is never necessarily a good thing if you're not trying to haul a lot of books, because the prices are so cheap and you're like, I just spent 40 bucks and got like 10 books. This is great. I also won a couple contests, and I guess I'll just get into it. So the first 4 books I got in the month of July, I won from Twitter in a contest by @Dulerv. I don't know how to say her name, but I will include her link down below. So she was holding a contest and I won a stack of ARCs. And before I show them, I would just like to say they came really pretty, but then my mailman left them in a spot that tends to puddle up when my sprinklers come on. I was at work at the time, my sprinklers came on, and when I got home, the box was completely soaked, fell apart in my hands, and the books were soaked. Some of them weren't too bad, but some of them were pretty bad. So that is nothing on her. They don't look pretty because of my sprinklers, so just thought I'd get that out of the way. So the first ARC I won was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. Now I already have a copy of this book, so I'm planning on giving the ARC away to one of my friends who has been wanting to read this book. And this one's not super water damaged, so I don't feel bad about giving this one away to her. This book follows this girl Alice who spends her whole life on the road with her mom, but then Alice's grandma dies and her mother is stolen away. Alex's grandma is a famous author for this book of fairy tales called The Hinterland, and the person who steals her mom claims to be from the hinterland. So she pairs up with someone from school to go and search for her mother. The next book I got is a book I also already own, but again I'm giving to my friend, and this one again is not super damaged, and that is I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu. I've already read this book too. This book is amazing. I love this book. I started watching K-dramas because of this book. This book follows this girl Desi Lee who believes anything is possible if you have a plan. So she meets this guy, embarrasses herself in front of him, and comes up with a plan using K-dramas to win him back. And this book was so funny and I really enjoyed it, and I hope my friend enjoys it too. So this next book did get a little more damaged than the last two, and this one is called The Opposite of Here by Tara Altebrando. See, this one got a little more water damaged. So this one follows this girl, Natalie, whose boyfriend recently died, and her parents are taking her and a couple of her friends on a cruise for her birthday. On the cruise, she meets this guy and she starts talking to him, and she's surprised to find that she has a connection with this guy. And she goes inside her cabin to change her clothes. She comes back out and he's gone. She's unsure if he jumped or did something, or if he even ever really existed, and I think that this will be an interesting read. So the next book I want from her is the one that got the most water damaged. It is like a lot fatter than it should be. The back cover is kind of split in two a little bit, and it's just got a lot of water damage. So this is The Library of Fate by Aditi Khorana. So this takes place in this kingdom where an evil emperor comes to visit, and until then they had been free from his violence. In order to protect her kingdom, this princess offers herself as his bride, but he doesn't like this offer. Next thing you know, Emerita finds herself a fugitive on the run with an oracle who used to be kept as a slave by the emperor, but managed to get away. Emerita wants to warn all of her subjects of the emperor's evil plans, but Thala, the oracle, thinks that they should instead go in search of the Library of All Things, where they might be able to reverse their fates. I think this is going to be a good read, and I'm just a little sad that it got water damaged. This next book is a book I got from Quirk Books in exchange for an honest review, and that is Garrison Girl by Rachel Aaron. This is a book set in the world of Attack on Titan, and it follows this girl, Rosalie. Now Rosalie defies her wealthy family to join the military and help protect against the Titans. I think this will be an interesting read. It's quick, and I enjoyed what I've seen of the show. So I'm excited to read this one. The next 9 books are books I bought from Book Outlet. Yeah, I just love that place. So I'm just gonna get into them. The first book I bought is In Odd We Trust by Dean Koontz. This one is basically a prequel of Odd Thomas. There's Odd, he sees ghosts. It's a graphic novel. I did not know that these existed. And I saw it and I was like, give me. So yes, I want to read this one soon. It should be quick. It is, like I said, a graphic novel. The next book I got is The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. This book follows 4 different people: Ruth, Alice, Dora, and Hank. They're all very different, but they have one thing in common. They live in Alaska and their lives are about to be tangled up. I don't know a whole lot about this book, but I have heard good things about it, and so I saw it on there. Well, it's not a long book, I picked it up. The next book I got is The Anatomical Shape of a Heart by Jen Bennett. I know nothing about this book, but I have read Starry Eyes and Alex Approximately, both by Jen Bennett, and I loved those. So when I saw that they had this book, which I believe is her first book before those 2 books up, I knew I wanted to get it. And yes, I plan on going it without really knowing what it's about, because I already know I like her writing. The next book I got because I knew I wanted to read The Shadow Queen in the month of July, and so they had The Wish Granter by C.J. Redwine, so I picked it up. This is the second book in a series, so I'm really gonna go into detail, but the first one's kind of like a twisted retelling of Snow White, and there's dragons, and it's amazing. The next book I picked up is The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Hillig. The only thing I really know about this book is it's a time travel book, and I wanted to read it because it's time travel, and time travel is interesting. The next book I picked up is a book I've already read last year, I believe, or the year before, and that is The Accident Season by Maura Fowley Doyle, and this book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I had actually listened to the audiobook, but didn't own the physical book, so now I do. This book follows Kara and her family, and every October is the accident season for her family, and bad stuff happens to them all the time, like bad stuff. And this accident season, Kara's trying to figure out what is behind it all, and it's very interesting. It's very like mysterious, and I really recommend this one. The next book I got from Book Outlet is again another book I have already read, and there's a sticker on it that I can't get off. I have to use some glue gun to get it off, so it's just gonna be on there right now, and that is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I was really excited to see this one on there, and then the sticker says $12.88, but I did not pay $12.88 for this book. So this book, when I first heard about this book or like saw the cover, I guess I thought it was a sci-fi or something, but it follows people who have magical powers. Not magical powers, but magical powers. I guess it's not magic. They're superheroes. They have superhero powers. There are the Renegades, which are the superheroes, and then there are villains, which are obviously the villains, and it's just so good. I have a review of it on GOODREADS, and I love this book. The next book I got was Challenger Deep by Neil Shusterman, and I had read another book before. I had read A World Without You before by Beth Revis, and I enjoyed it, but I heard that this book is supposed to be like that book, but better. It's about this boy, Caden, who is a regular student, but also on a ship, or he thinks he's on a ship, but he's a regular student. I'm excited. The next book I got is The Forgotten Book by Metfield Glaser, and I really enjoyed The Book Jumper by this author, so I wanted to get this one. This is about this girl, Emma, who finds a book in a library and anything she writes in it comes true. But then she finds out that there are consequences to her actions, and somebody else knows about this book and will do anything to take it from her. The next book I got was from a giveaway on GOODREADS that I happened to win, and that is The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chachki. And I heard this is kind of like a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I'm excited about that. And it's Roshani Chachki, and so I'm excited about that. And I've started it, but I haven't finished it. And like I said, I'm excited about that. The next 6 books I got from my friend who went to San Diego Comic-Con, and she brought me back some books, and she texted me and she had told me about one of the books, and I was so surprised and so happy, and oh my gosh, I just need to show you guys these because I've just been wanting to show people one of the books. Okay, so I'm just gonna get on with it. So the first book she brought me back was an arc of Dear Evan Hansen. This is by the creators of the musical, and I'm excited to read it. This book follows this guy, Evan, who finds a letter that nobody's supposed to see, and he gets pulled into a family's grief, and he pretends to be a secret best friend of this guy, Connor. But that's a lie. Evan doesn't really care first because now he's not invisible, but then stuff starts piling up and unraveling, and he comes face to face with his biggest obstacle himself. I haven't listened to the soundtrack yet, but I want to and read along with the book, and I'm excited. The next book that I got is an arc of The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kristen White. This is the story of Elizabeth, who was not treated well, but then she's brought home by Victor Frankenstein and becomes part of his family. In order to stay there, she kind of has to put up with Victor's temper and indulging in his every whim. She is determined to stay alive, and this is just interesting, and you can't see it. I mean, this just sounds interesting. You can't see it, but the book is really shiny, and I'm excited to get this book. They had a couple copies at Y'all West, but I didn't manage to get one because they were only for the people who were in the very front of the line for Bright We Burn, and I got the Bright We Burn, but I didn't manage to get this one, and like I said, I'm excited. The next book I got from my friend was also a book that I had tried to get at Y'all West and didn't manage to get, and that is Grayson Fury by Tracy Banghart. So this follows 2 sisters, Serena and Nomi. One lives in a palace and one lives in a prison. Her whole life, Serena has been groomed to become a Grace, but then Nomi is the one who catches the heir's eye, and Serena has to take the fall for the dangerous secret that Nomi's been hiding. Now, Nomi doesn't want to be a Grace, but now she has to surrender to that in order to save her sister. Serena is imprisoned on an island where she has to fight to survive, and this book sounds really good. I also love the little part on the back that says Tracy Banghart currently lives in Hawaii, where there are a lot of volcanoes, none of which she's made her home. I thought that was funny. The next book is again another book that I tried to get at Y'all West and didn't manage to get, so I'm super excited to have, and that is Light Years by Cass Morgan. I don't really know what this is about, except that it's a sci-fi and it's by the same girl who wrote The 100, and I love the TV show The 100, and I've read the books The 100, and so I'm really excited to have this one, and I have to read it soon. It comes out in October. The next book is an arc of The Point by John Dixon. This is about this girl Scarlett who gets recruited by a secret West Point unit, and from what I gather, it's kind of like X-Men. They kind of have like powers like X-Men, and she goes to like a school like X-Men, and that's exciting. Now this arc. I am thrilled to be holding this arc in my hands. I am so happy that she got me this arc. She got herself one too. She had a friend there with her who got her another copy for me, and I'm just so grateful. I don't know how I could repay this. The Wicked King by Holly Black. The sequel to The Cruel Prince, which has so far been my favorite read of the year. And I have this book in my hands now, and it doesn't come out till January, but I could read it now, or I could wait, because then I'm gonna have to wait a year and a half to read the book after, the third book. Or I could read it now. I'm reading it now. That's what's happening. I'm reading it now. I'm not waiting. I'm so happy. Okay. The last book I got in the month of July is The Traded Prince by C.J. Redwine, which is the third book in the Shadow Queen trilogy. I thought it was a trilogy. Actually, I think there's a fourth book out, or a fourth book coming out. But yes, I got the third book because, like I said, I really did enjoy the first book. And that's it. That's all the books I got in the month of June and July. The months of June and July. So click the like button if you like this video. Click subscribe if you want to see more of this face in your feed. And bye.